This one-room schoolhouse was established in Knightson in 1868. The building was moved to its present location in 2003, and in 2014, the East Contra Costa County Historical Society Museum completed restoration of the building. It occurred to me that we still have people all around us who attended a one-room schoolhouse. I thought it important that they share their experience with us. My mother, Rose Giannini Pierce, attended Lone Tree School. She did not speak English when she started. She only spoke Italian and Spanish. Her lifetime buddy, Russell DiMartini, went all the way through school with her. He always told the story of trying to get to the water pump first at recesses because with the first gush of water came a frog. As it was then, it is today. A frog is always good for making a little girl scream and run away. The following are a few words from some fine people who attended a one-room school in East Contra Costa County.
Okay, I'm Joe McFarland. I went to Lone Tree School in all 8 grades, and I'm 87. And it was a good school, hard to beat.
I'm May DiMartini Schrader, and I went to Lone Tree School. I went there 7 years, but it was his mother was my teacher.
We were on the corner of Lone Tree and Empire, and that's just about a mile, I believe. We walked, yeah. And I used to ride down the White Line on Virginia Pruitt's bicycle that my dad had give her dad $5 for. I don't know where he got the $5. And I'd ride down the White Line with my little brother on the handlebars, and he'd do the steering till we hit a telephone pole, and that ended that.
I walked to school. It was we lived about a mile from the school, and one time there was a herd of sheep coming down the road, and I was a little kid, and I'm not very tall anyway, and they scared me to death, but they didn't bother me. I tried to get off to the side.
Gave them the right of way.
I gave them the right of way, yes.
My name is Mary Armstrong. I was Mary Jardine when I went to the school there in Jersey Island.
My name is Linda Rogers Gregory, and I also went to the Jersey Island School from 1st grade to 4th grade, and it was a one-room schoolhouse, and all of us went, including the fruit pickers and asparagus pickers' children who came periodically and left again. We walked across the island because we lived on the other end. Walking to school in the winter was miserable. You'd get there and you'd be wet and itchy from the peat dirt, and my dad was always busy working, and he never ever took us to school in a car, so it was not very much fun.
I walked across the yard. I was right there. I was the lucky one. They had to walk all the way across the island, but all I had to do was walk across the yard, and I was there. So I had it easy. I really did.
I'm Norma Giosia Lewis, and I started Liberty School in 1933, and I graduated in 1941. Most of the time we walked to school.
I'm Verna Kickbed Cruz, went to Liberty School, and I was the only one in the 1st grade.
I'm Barbara Van Buren, Barbara Kickbed Van Buren, and I just went to school with my sister dragging me through the mud to get to school, and I was terrified.
I'm Gene Stonebarger, and I live in Oakley, but I went to Lone Tree School my whole time, grammar school time.
Right.
Dewey DiMartini, live in Brentwood, went to Lone Tree School. I was born and raised on Lone Tree Road, about a mile and a half from the Lone Tree School.
John Slatton, I lived on Lone Tree and went to Lone Tree School for 8 years. But in those days, the cars probably went about 30, 35 miles an hour, And there was probably, on the average day, maybe 3 or 4 cars went by on my way to school. You know, dairy cows and sheep.
Sheep, yeah.
And the cars would stop, the sheep, the cattle would go around the car, and people would go on. And nobody was in a big hurry.
When I went to school in the morning, of course, I left the track and the bicycle track and the lone track. And when I came home in the afternoon, I could tell whether the mailman had been there or not. My track would still be there if he hadn't been there that day.
But we showed up early one morning to do our janitorial work, and boy, here's this great big cave in the blacktop. They had stole the bell. Somebody had stole. It was during the war, and they had stole the bell, and it got away from them, and it came down off of the steep part, and it hit the porch roof, and took a big chunk out of the porch and hit the blacktop.
Oh, no.
And College of Pacific, they had a bell collection.
Uh-oh.
And he said our bell was there. We thought that they had stolen it to sell it because it was during the war. And the metal, you know, they could sell metal. And we thought, boy, that'd bring a pretty good piece of money. But Fred said no, it was lined up with their bell collection over there in Stockton.
I got there early the first year, especially because Mrs. McFarland picked me up, and I went early and came home late because she had to get the stove going and all that kind of things, the potbelly stoves.
And in the wintertime, get the fire started in the coal-burning, wood-burning stove. And our school, along those lines, our school didn't have any running water. We had a cistern, and they'd have to let the first rains wash the roof off, and then they would pipe the water after that into the cistern.
It was all very sanitary, you know. But I seemed to live this long, so it didn't really bother me, did it? No.
We all had our own little cup and pumped up our drink of water out of the cistern.
Hand pump.
Yep.
And then when that water ran out, Fred Hardarn used to haul a tank of water up and put in the cistern.
We had there was a well there, but with the teacher used to haul the water in canteens. I can remember that.
Maybe my mother having to heat water. We had this big stove, and on the side of it there was a tank. And when you burned your wood for your stove, it warmed up that water. And I'm sure that's the only way we got warm water. But the running water, I'm sure we did, because I think we had a sink. But, and evidently we drank water from that. I don't know.
I do know that we, like she said, we had a wood stove that heated the water. If there was summer and Mom didn't cook anything on the stove, we had cold baths, which was not very much fun. The water very likely came from the river, which was right across the levee from us. And at that point, well, when we lived at our home, the water came from the river into a tank when the wind blew. If the wind didn't blow, we had to be very cautious with water because there was no water in the tank. And it came from the river, and I'm still here. So you wouldn't do it now. But in those days, it was clean enough that you could survive with it. And I'm positive that's where it came from at the school.
The night my brother graduated, we had a container where we kept the water in those glass things, and they had paper cups in there, and he grabbed a paper cup, and that night there, the glass exploded and cut Jimmy Hansen's eye, and my mom had to take him and his mother to the Antioch, to the hospital. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, we had those soap dishes where you pump them, you know, and every once in a while they would work loose and get cockeyed, so you'd straighten them up, you know, and I don't know what the reason was. Anyway, I was hitting it with my hand. I've still got the scar. I broke the darn glass.
And we didn't have flush toilets, so we had the outhouses hung over the creek, and they had to be cleaned out every once in a while. They also had to remove the nests of the snakes and the mice.
We had an outhouse for the girls and we had an outhouse for the boys.
I graduated from there in 1936, so I guess I'm the oldest one of the bunch. My class was only 5 students, and there's one left, I believe. And I think Dewey's class, there was 3 or something, I don't know.
No, I happened to be in one of the biggest classes.
Oh, you did?
There was 8.
Oh, 8, okay. Anyway, these classes were very small.
I know I was not only happy, but I was awful surprised that I got a diploma.
The trustees, I think, gave us the diploma. I forgot who, Fred Hydor maybe signed it. I think I have it somewhere.
Different grades got different papers to do, and there was no talking or horseplay going on because we were there to get educated, and I think
Mrs. McFarland was an old-time teacher.
she made us pay attention, and so I think we learned an awful lot. She carried a 1-foot ruler as a pointer, and if you did something that you knew you weren't supposed to do, hold out your hand and you got a little whack on the hand.
And we did have music. Mrs. Ballard was one of the teachers that came in and gave lessons. Some took piano lessons, and we had everybody had a recorder, the little flute type instrument, and we had our lessons on that. And was it once a week or once a month we listened to the standard,
Oh yeah.
what was it called? It was classical music on the radio, and we all gathered around and listened to that for an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had that when you were there or not.
No, that's after my time.
Afterwards, okay.
I think that was once a month.
You got modern after.
And it was interesting, something that we wouldn't have done otherwise. And so we had some appreciation for music.
I don't remember ever having any problems because of nationality. We just considered we were all just the same, and we were just going to school, and we didn't expect anything to be different from the Japanese to the Spanish or whoever it might be.
I don't think we even thought about nationality. I don't remember.
No, I don't either.
I don't either.
No.
I don't either.
You know, if they're nice and friendly, and
Yeah.
that's it. I think it was a good experience and a good start in life.
At one time, there was like 14 of us, but some of the children, like Linda was saying, they would come and work during the season, you know, with their families. And so, but they weren't there all the time, but there was a few of us that actually lived there all of the time.
There was Orientals and Filipino children that came and went. And I was telling Mary a little story. We'd walk past the Oriental home on the way home from school, and the lady would have these little rice balls for us as a treat.
I don't know, I think we just all got along. Mm-hmm. Nobody had any trouble with anybody, you know.
Good friends.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, your friends always remained your friends. I know that, you know. And we kept in touch, especially with our family, you know. But like, we don't see each other that often. But when we do see each other, we remember, you know, think back when.
I'm still here because we worked very hard when we were children. Everything we ate came off the ranch. There was nothing, very rarely bought. My dad would take us to San Leandro to visit my relatives, and he would stop at a place in Danville for a cold drink, and he would buy us a loaf of white bread and ham. And that was our sandwich. We thought we were in heaven because that was so unusual.
That
We
was
had
store-bought.
homemade bread and never had ham sandwiches. Or
Yeah.
So this might be, you know, we worked hard and ate well. Could be.
Our folks worked real hard.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
I did too.
Yeah. I was an only child. So this was fun to go to school, and everybody was really friendly then.
There was no animosity between the different relations, you know, the Japanese, the Chinese, the whatever, Philippine kids. We all got along like we were family, and that was it.
When it was lunchtime, there was like all of 8 or 10 of us would cross the creek, go up to the sand rock, a very large sand rock that was slides, and it was had many grinding stones that were done by the Bay Miwok Indians. And so then we used to go up and slide down the sand slide, which they are still there, naturally. And, then the teacher would blow the whistle, and we would all take our quarter of a mile, run down the road, past the wildflowers that we collected along the way, into the school again.
When it came, sometimes there was just 3 families of us, Barbara Cakebread, myself and my 2 brothers, and the Hansons. Then in the springtime, there was a lot of peas grown in Marsh Creek, and that was during the Dust Bowl when the people from Arkansas and Oklahoma came out and they worked on the ranches, and that's when we had more kids, but most of the time it was just 3 families. And Barbara's mom and my mom and Val Hansen were the trustees of the school when I went.
Oh, I imagine you took your lunch.
Oh, we took our lunch in a lard bag, container, a little metal lard that Mom used to get. We had a little pail handle, and that's what we took our lunch in, because the paper bags were unheard of. I'm thinking in a one-room schoolhouse, it was to our advantage because we were accelerated in some cases above our grade level because we would listen to all these other things. Mm-hmm. And we learned the simple basics so that today we can add a column of figures without a computer or that sort of thing. And I think it was to our advantage. But looking back on it, I think we were very fortunate.
Yeah, because at that time we didn't know the difference. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just the way it was. We didn't compare it with anything else.
Well, I only had one classmate all 8 grades. It was Lillian Giannini. And if it wasn't for her, I'd still be in the 4th grade. Oh boy.
Every spring for the state test. And after the state tests were over, there was a hill behind the school. And we had cardboard, and we'd slide down this hill on the cardboard, and had lots of green stains on our clothes, so I guess our parents didn't care, So that was fun. Yeah. I'll tell you something, it isn't very complimentary to me, but I'll have to tell it anyway, because it's kind of a good story. We had no, it wasn't a test. It was just the schoolwork. And so I had completed it. And so there were some kids who were struggling with getting the answers. It was in arithmetic. And I passed them the answers. My teacher, his mother, caught me. and she hung a cheat sign on me that I cheated by giving them the answers. And I had to wear that cheat sign all day.
We had a one-room school, we had a stage, we had a little tiny library, and we had a room where we kept our lunches, and the teacher had to bring the drinking water in canteens because there was something wrong with the well. And sometimes when it was hot, we ran out of water and somebody had to walk to the old cake bread place and get water.
Here, that I drew when I was in the 7th grade of the Liberty Grammar School, which is right here. That is Liberty School. You want to hold that, Norma? and when I was in the 8th grade, I had the largest desk because I was the biggest person, and I had a new geography book.
We all played together, and we ate our lunch all outside together, and sometimes we'd go down the creek and play because the creek was just behind the school. But you just got along. I mean, we didn't know any difference.
And we went down to the creek and caught pollywogs until they turned into frogs.
And then I can remember on every Friday we had to write a story. And so on Friday we wrote a story, and I'll never forget, I still have it at home. I wrote the story, and at that time the Oakland Tribune had an Aunt Elsie column that kids could send their stories to. And I sent my story, and I got first prize on it. I got a scrapbook. Oh, I thought I was in heaven. And every afternoon when we came in from lunch, I can remember the teacher reading us a chapter from a book. And the one I remember, it stuck with me all this time, was The Yearling. I can remember her reading that book to us, and I really enjoyed that book. And we did penmanship. I can remember making the circles and going this way. Do you remember that, Barbara?
Practicing our handwriting.
Yeah, which the kids don't have nowadays. Their handwriting is awful.
We didn't have air conditioning, did we? We opened the windows.
Yeah.
When it was hot, it was hot.
It was hot. That's when a lot of times we ran out of water.
That's great.
We were a small school, but we had a lot of experience in that, and overall, it has really helped in adult life. Get along with people, to make do with what you have.
I think that's one of the main things. It made us realize we had to do with whatever we had and didn't expect anything else, really. Nothing special.
I think that we had an awful good education, book learning and people learning.
In spite of one teacher teaching 8 classes in our last 4 years, Mrs. McFarland, taught all 8 classes. And I don't know how she did it.
Well, we're too busy playing baseball and stuff like that to worry about the teacher. That we had good times out there. I wouldn't trade her for anything.
And there was 4 new tennis rackets. This was when I was in the 6th grade. They graded the field of the yard, actually, and that's where I learned to play tennis. And I became a good tennis player when I went to University of California. Oh, the tennis rackets cost, 4 of them cost $5.85.
We played kickball and Annie over, and
We all played together, and it was really kind of remarkable as I remember it, because the first graders were playing with the eighth graders, and it might have come from in class. The 8th graders would help the lower grades with their lessons, and it was a good experience for us too. John and I were in the same class, and we played games that would fit all occasions for all ages, and got along well.
And I think we were proud to be from Liberty, from Lone Tree rather. Did you feel proud that you went to Lone Tree School?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm proud of the fact, and we all seemed to get along very well, and we just played in different groups. I don't think we had a special thing or anything that I remember. We just get on if it wasn't messy, we'd get under the mulberry tree, and things like that. But
I think we learned a lot of good sportsmanship through that fellowship.
Yeah.
And
had to make it work.
Yeah.
So you did whatever it took to make it work.
We played baseball against Byron and Excelsior, Oakley and Brentwood. I don't think we ever beat Oakley. we only beat Brentwood once, but Excelsior and Byron.
They were much bigger schools.
Yeah, right. We got our picture taken when we beat Brentwood.
At the flag salute in here, and I can remember, we had to take turns once a week to go outside and put the flag up, and if it was good weather, we saluted the flag outside, and when it was cold and rainy, we saluted the flag inside every morning before class started.
There's a fact. Right.
I think it was on the first day of May. They called it May Day or something.
Oh, I remember that.
And we would walk up that hill and up down the other down the other side. The teacher would be with us and pick wildflowers.
Yes.
we thought that was great.
Yeah, and you mentioned May Day. We had a maypole dance. There's a large pole with streamers of cloth, and we dance alternately around to wind it onto the pole.
I do remember play days because we used to go to the Lone Tree School and they had a maypole, which was to me was foreign, and I thought that was the best thing that there ever was, this maypole, to be able to swing yourself around.
Every May Day, we went to the Lone Tree School. They had a bunch of the small schools come there, and we had a play day there, and it was a lot of fun. We look forward to that.
And we did the maypole dance.
Yeah.
We went to various schools. We used to come to Excelsior. Sometimes they came to Liberty, and you did the maypole dance where you had to weave.
That was in your time, Vernon. In my time, we went to Lone Tree.
That's because you had cars.
I wouldn't trade those days for anything.